Hello and welcome to another unboxing. This time it's from Bellissima Crystals, which have been featured before. I will link all their info in the description below, so you can go check them out if you'd like. And yeah, let's just get into it. The first piece I unwrapped is this yellow iridescent black phantom Veracruz quartz specimen. So Veracruz, Mexico is known for its amethyst, very famous for its amethyst points. However, recently they found a pocket of quartz that's been stained yellow by lemonite and also has an iridescent sheen to it. And not just that, but this quartz pocket has defined black phantoms, as you can see here. This is the only pocket that's been found so far, like this, and who knows if they'll ever find another one, so I just had to pick me up a piece of this, rare find. Then I have here this yttrium fluorite medium wand. Yttrium fluorite comes out of China and has this pastel green and purple color to it. And if you don't know, my signature colors are always purple, green, and black. And so here we have 2 out of the 3, which isn't too bad. And I actually got this on sale, which was nice. So gotta love a sale, and yeah. Next up is this vibrant apple green peridot specimen. I already have peridot in my collection, but the colors are very different from each other. And because I fell in love with this green color here, I decided to grab it for my collection. So now I have a few specimens. Then next I unwrapped this pink tourmaline specimen. I already have black and light blue tourmaline, and I just thought I could use some pink tourmaline too. So and speaking of tourmaline, this next piece I unwrapped was this black tourmaline with albite growth specimen, which was actually a free gift. So thank you so much for that. Love it. Gotta love a free crystal. And it'll just look lovely next to my pink tourmaline that I showed previously. Now this next piece here is actually kind of interesting. It is this rhodochrosite stalactite specimen, which you won't come by very often, at least in rhodochrosite. So what is a stalactite? Stalactites form in caves, usually are calcites, but obviously can be other minerals depending on the mineral-rich ice water, because they're on the ceiling, and when the ice melts, mineral-rich ice melts, it starts to drip down and then forms this sort of structure, kind of like a point coming down. And you also have another form known as stalagmites. That's where the ice drips down onto the floor, and so it kind of, this tower-like structure forms on the ground. Sometimes they even connect. This is what's known as a column. Yeah, so that's kind of interesting, and that just makes this a really cool piece. Moving on, I unwrapped another free gift, so thank you so much, which is this prehnite specimen. So yeah, this is actually going to be my second prehnite specimen because I do already have one. And again, thank you so much for it. And I also just wanted to mention and point out, doesn't it kind of remind you of broccoli? Or actually, have you ever seen that hybrid of broccoli cauliflower? That's what it reminds me of, except this is much sparklier than the vegetable. So yeah. Alright, so my next piece is this Kundalini citrine cluster specimen. If you've watched my collection videos, you'll know that I already have Kundalini citrine. In fact, my first Kundalini came from the same shop. They only have a few left, so they had put them all on sale, and I couldn't pass up such a good offer, right? Particularly with how rare authentic citrine actually is. So yeah, had to get a second one. Now, next piece I have unwrapped here is known as Galaxy Cubic Fluorite Specimen. So why Galaxy? Well, it's because of this. Under UV blacklight, it reacts to what looks like a galaxy of stars trapped within. So what causes these flecks is actually petroleum inclusions, which is extremely rare occurrence, and it comes out of China. If you don't know, I think I've mentioned it previously, but if you don't know, I did get a blacklight UV for minerals. It's a cheap kind. I found at Canadian Tire. So, but it seems to work on a few of my crystals, some which I didn't even know reacted to UV blacklight, but it did. It did work. So what I'm going to do in an upcoming video is just showcase all the ones that UV react. And yeah, because I think it's kind of cool, and I want you to see how cool it is. All right, next we're going to move on to my purple aragonite specimen from Spain, which is the main location, I think, for really great specimens of aragonite. Even though aragonite isn't a rare material, I mean, you don't see much of purple aragonite often, but it is, fairly common crystal. The other colors aragonite comes in is white, blue, green, and red. And the reason why I chose this piece in particular is that it comes with a little baby on the side, so I just liked that. And the fact that it was purple, because it's one of my favorite colors. Next piece is one of my favorite pieces actually from this haul, which is this Guerrero Phantom Amethyst specimen, because just look at that juicy purple. I mean, chef's kiss. So this was actually mined in the 80s, so I guess you could say it's a vintage piece. But actually this came out of Bellissima's own personal collection, because you don't see these anymore, really. This creamy white quartz with, a phantom so juicy it resembles grape jelly. So really excited to grab this piece. Then I unwrapped this Smoky Phantom Amethyst mini tower, and by now you've probably noticed a familiar aspect in a handful of these pieces in this unboxing, which is phantoms. And that's because I didn't have any pieces within my collection with actual phantoms, and so this kind of took my focus for a bit there. Tried to find some, and I gotta say, I'm mad about it, because I love this piece too, this little tower here. It's just so clear and great quality, and yeah, I'm glad I have a handful of phantoms now in my collection. So as you can see, this sort of smoky part, which appears to be almost like another crystal growing inside, well, it's not. That's what a phantom is. It's not an actual crystal. What happens with phantoms and how they are created is there's been a disturbance, environmental disturbance, while the crystal is growing, right? And that causes a change, and for it to sort of stop or grow like in a slower or faster, or any sort of environmental change where it actually sort of imprints within the crystal, and then it keeps growing, and then that sort of change that left that imprint stays there. And sometimes you have different forms of inclusions, which obviously is what makes smoky quartz smoky, amethyst purple, and that imprint, yeah, is just there. And so it looks like there's an extra crystal growing in the middle, but it's actually not, and it's just an imprint of the crystal's growth. So now on to the next piece, which is this yellow iridescent calcite specimen, which is another feature you'll notice, which is the iridescence and the fact I got a few of them, which is an aspect that's harder to come by, harder to find in crystals. But I've been able to find 3 specimens now of iridescence for my collection, so really excited about that. And if you don't know what iridescence is basically a leaching process of other minerals which stain the crystal, giving off sort of rainbow, like an oil slick rainbow effect on the crystal. Now, when you hear someone talk about aura quartz, what aura is man-made iridescence. That's what they're trying to replicate. They're trying to replicate that. But they do it through baking the crystal with other minerals that help stain it, and it's usually a lot thicker and it's a lot more uniformed. Like, it's all over the crystal. It's quite obvious, right? It's man-made and quite obviously man-made. Iridescence, however, is much lighter, usually, and it's not uniform. It will be a little bit patchy in areas, right? And it's, I think, much nicer. It looks natural. You can tell the difference between natural iridescence and then the man-made or coated crystals. So it's something that they do because it's pretty, but it's very, very rare to find natural iridescence. So, yeah, obviously they want to make money, so they peddle that stuff, the man-made stuff. But I don't. If you like man-made or a coating, more power to you. I definitely do not like that stuff. I think it looks gaudy. But I really love the natural iridescence. So, yeah, I'm just really happy to have 3 because it's definitely a rare occurrence. So we are now at the last final piece of this unboxing, and that is with this sardonyx, small flame, which comes out of Morocco, and it's exactly what it sounds like. That is, it's onyx that's mixed with sard. What is sard? Well, it's a form of chalcedony that's reddish brown. It's the same stuff, actually, that's found in carnelian when agatized. And when carnelian is mixed with onyx, it's then called sardonyx. So now I just want to mention that there are fakes out there, a lot of them, where it's just dyed white agate, or sometimes it's printed agate, like, the coating is just like a printed version. So dyeing, really. But yeah, so I will show on screen what that looks like. And because it's sometimes hard to detect without damaging the stone by cutting it in half, I'd make sure you know the sellers well enough and know where the stone comes from. I mean, I personally wouldn't have purchased sardonyx if I didn't trust Bellissima completely. With their products and knowing their knowledge and stance within this sort of community of crystal sellers. I wouldn't have bought it, but I do trust them, so I did. Because there are some signs also to look for to see if it is real. And that's basically just to look for depth. So I'll kind of try to show here. See this black? It's the onyx, and obviously is darker than both the sard and the white. And you can see the different colors banded behind this white and inside the stone itself, which is the area where dye wouldn't be able to reach. And so that's what I mean by depth. So because when it's just a white agate and dyed or whatever, it doesn't seep into the stone more than just a little tiny bit. So you can't sort of get that extra depth when dyed. It's not possible. And that is everything for now. I do have another package coming that has supposedly great UV reactive crystals. So I am going to wait on doing that UV reaction video until after that package comes, which I will be unboxing on camera. So I will be making another unboxing video first before I do that UV reactive crystal video. So be on the lookout for both of those. And thanks again to Bellissima Crystals. They will be in the description below, all their, links and everything where you can find them. So yeah, bye.